don't usually chase cops around. Like, it's not my thing. But 5 cruisers just came hauling ass over on Kahia, like flying, and they blew by. I was wondering where they went. It looks like they came over here. Now they usually travel in big groups, like 4 or 5 at a time, for like minor stuff, you know. So I mean, the amount of response usually doesn't have much to do with the severity of the situation. This could actually just be like some kind of fight or something, like a domestic squabble perhaps, or something, I don't know. Yeah, there they all are. Like, they'll do that, like, some guy will, well, back when, it seems like we don't have clubs anymore, but back when there were more clubs and stuff, like a guy causing trouble in a line or something would, 5 of these guys would show up. Because the police station's kind of close. But as I've talked about in the past here, there's a bit of a selective response depending on what it is. We saw a giant brawl in the park up there in the Princess's Park, and oh, they got a guy, and we saw the cops down by International Marketplace. You could see them, and they were sitting there. But no one came up the street. Now, I don't know what that is. I think maybe they were just they didn't want to get involved with it. They kind of probably knew what it was. It was really just a bunch of kids fighting. 2 groups of, I think it was tourists and some locals were fighting about something. So maybe they knew and they just waited, because they showed up after and started walking around the park. Dudes, yeah. 10 minutes earlier, this would have been good. I think they just kind of knew it was bullshit and didn't want to be involved in it. There's a similar response to a lot of homeless problems. If I told a story about this one guy that was kind of freaking out. He's throwing trash in the street, and we tried to flag one down, a cop, and he looked over at what was going on and just kept driving. So I mean, in this case, this is probably, it's a hotel, so they usually keep it pretty tight with the tourists. If it's a tourist-related issue, they're all over it usually. Like in this case, something happened in a hotel, they'll show up for that. But usually, it's very selective, the enforcement. I get it. There's so much nonsense that goes on here. It's I think they just know sometimes. They just know it's going to be some bullshit thing, and they just don't want to get involved, because if something like this happens, high priority is for sure the tourists, and it should be. That's smart. I mean, no, they're bringing the money into the islands, because the islands don't produce really anything else anymore. They used to. They had all that taken from them. Farms sold out from them, bought out from them. Yeah, they used to do a bunch of different things here. Well, the Dole Factory, which is still here as a tourist thing, they used to produce stuff, but they don't anymore. But the cannery is like a little mall and a movie theater. It's kind of cool. They left all the infrastructure there of the Dole Cannery, and then they just kind of made shops out of it. I like that place. And then up north, there's the Dole kind of, I don't know what you would call it, but it's like an outpost, but it's got little attractions there. It's not like an amusement park, but there's little things you can do. There's a maze and this koi fish kind of thing where you can, throw them food. They sell these little food. It's kind of cool. It's very touristy, but I mean, it's worth checking out once. They have coffee and certain kinds of coffee and gelato, so Dole pineapple gelato. But yeah, anything that they could produce themselves was taken, co-opted, sold out. They left them really nothing, you know. As you know, these situations tend to pan out, and they left the people that are the most native to the islands. They left them on the lowest economic rung, and that's where they still are. So they're using, like, you know, they're using their fucking land in a commercial sense, and the people that benefit the least from it are the people that, like, grew up here and live here and have, like, family here. You know, they get screwed the most. It's always that way. You know, it's always that way. The girl was crying. Like, boyfriend fight or something. I don't know, like, when I see guys in distress, it just, not that I don't give a fuck, but it's, you know, whatever. Guy, walk it up. But when I see girls upset like that, it's like, I don't know, you want to say, like, are you okay? But these days you really can't do that, because then it's like, I mean, some people would consider that rape. Yeah, I'm almost scared of, like, being around women that I don't know anymore. Like, even some of them, like, you hold the door for them and it's like they get mad. Like, no, I know you can hold it yourself, but I don't know. I've been programmed to do this by my father. I'm sorry. Thursday night. Usually Thursday night's pretty jumping out here. But yeah, I was going to talk more about demons and the way they have to adhere to 3D architectural structure, which is kind of weird. Like last night, when I ran into that woman who I thought was, I'm pretty sure she had something in her, because if you listen to the voice, what she was saying, that's how they talk. And a lot of times they can talk. Like, some of them can talk normal and they'll talk to you, but some can't talk. So the noises that they're making isn't just like scary demon noises. They're trying to speak, like they're trying to use a language. And that's why sometimes you'll hear them speak in other languages. You know, you hear a bunch of gibberish, but it's always Latin too. They'll throw Latin in. You'll catch a Latin word here and there. And I don't, you know, I'm not a Latin speaking guy, but I know phonetically what it sounds like, kind of, you know. So some of that'll jump out at me. But like the woman last night was the same way. And for a while I was concerned, like, oh man, that thing, something came out of her. Where did it go? I was like, because I felt really fucked up. Like, my adrenaline was going, you know. Could have been just the situation, but I don't usually get that way when I've been around, like, demon infested people, even talking to them. It's more just like, you know, it's not fear, it's more just like disgust. It's like, yeah, these guys are gross. There's like this gross sort of, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but so I was like, for a minute, I'm thinking, now did I catch some metaphysical shrapnel there? But I wouldn't have, because when you're outside, and this is what I was going to get to, when you're outside, they're just going to go. They're going to go as far away from the area as possible, right? If you're inside, you know, because the reason is because at that point, if they have to leave a person, they realize the jig is up. And in their mind, the thing they fear the most is being seen. You know, that's why it's good to have, like, the pharaohs used to have a lot of cats around, because they could see those frequencies where they exist. And sometimes just being able to see them will keep them away, because they know they can be seen, even though we can't. But I don't know if they know that, or if it's just like some instinctual thing. And when I say, like, certain animals can see them, I don't know how they can see them. Like, if it's visually the same way, like how we see them in photography and stuff. Photography. But getting back to that, having to adhere to a 3D architectural space. If you were in a room, okay, and one of them jumped out, that's when you'd maybe be concerned about one trying to get in you. If you're high enough vibrationally, you're okay. But if you're doing something like that, maybe, you know, in the case of like, you know that there's a demon there, there's some kind of exorcism thing happening, your sort of critical thinking and your nerves and your cool is kind of diminished a bit. And in those moments of like panic or perhaps fear, they could get in there, you know, that they could jump in there. So what you'd do is you'd want to have a window open, or you want to have like a door open, you know, so that they can go out. They'd rather go out that door or that window than getting you. From what I've, you know, picked up. So what that tells me, and I have more about that, is that they have to adhere to the 3D physical spaces. Like, even though they're incorporeal, and to us, they're like invisible, they're not, they can't walk through stuff. They can't walk through walls. They're not like ghosts. They have to stick with the architecture and the rules of the material that's here. Like, I always talk about Roger and Casey and how he always shows a lot of demons and things, and he can show them to you through photography. You know, they're always standing on something. You never see one like coming out of a wall or like half a body coming out of something. They're always standing on something, like a ledge. He does a lot of stuff about like how they show up in photos. He was doing a lot of Queen Elizabeth stuff, where she would have these, she'd speak to the people, you know, like at Christmas or something. And she always had in her setup, whatever the decorations were, would always be these entities, these little guys. Some of them have like, are fully dressed. Hats are a big thing for whatever reason, I don't know. But what they can do, I believe they can change their size, right? Because some of them are really big, and when like they're in the Queen stuff, they're really small. I don't think it's like some of them are small and some of them are big. And I think they can change their size somehow, or at least that's just what I'm guessing. But they have to. But no matter what, they have to be on something. Like they have to be. He was showing the president's desk, that famous one that was made. It's in the White House. It's made out of like wood from some ship, and he was pointing out on the desk where they were, and there's these little shelves, and they're standing on the shelves. So even though they're incorporeal, in a sense that they're invisible to us, they're not ghost-like. I'm trying to figure out that word. They have density in some capacity when their frequency interacts with the 3D. They have to stick by those rules. And I don't know why that is, but that seems to be the case, because you never see one coming out of a wall. You never see one, you know, halfway out of a thing. They're always on something, or they're in something. Or if there's an archway, they're in an archway. Roger has a lot of stuff done in the mountains where they have, where they're crowded around up in the mountains on these cliffs, and they're standing on the cliffs. Like they're not floating. They're there. So when I say stuff like they come in and out of people's bodies, I don't think like the lady over here, like when how it seemed like she got rid of it or it left her. They don't like zoom out like at least I don't think. It's not like a Casper, the friendly ghost type thing, when they zoom out of it. I think they kind of disappear and have no, and aren't solid. And then they sort of re-pull themselves together somewhere else at a different point where the frequency enables them to do so. At least that's how it seems to be. In my experience, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, some of them can talk. Like I wanted to try to talk to that one, but I don't think, it didn't seem like she had one that could talk because of the noises that were coming out of her mouth, the way she was like, you know, yelling. And I haven't listened really close to that audio, But I gotta go. I don't like to. Like, there's something about it. Just, I don't know. It's not fright. It's more like a disgust thing. But I should go through it slowly and try to see if I can pick out anything that sounds like a language or a word or Latin. But I could tell as soon as I heard it, that's what a lot of them do. Like, because they're trying to speak. They're not, and they may know another language, like in some cases, like the Latin stuff. They'll know Latin, and they'll just throw a Latin word in here and there. Because what's happening, at least this is what I'm guessing, when they're in the body, right, it's like they're trying to assemble some sort of dominance or some sort of solidity inside that body. So it's like a struggle in a way to kind of keep things together, like they're trying to pull all their stuff together, like everything's on, and that's why they sound like that. They're like trying to get themselves together in there. And I think that's the reason why, like earlier, I'm like, yeah, some of them can't speak, some of them can speak. I think they can all speak. I think it's just they got to get a hold of the body they're in to figure that out. Bodies they can take over regularly are low vibrational. I mean, I've seen them in Chinatown jump from one sort of homeless person to another. One of the guys, though, back when this thing was all going on, one of the really weird days, one of the insane days, there was a blind guy. And I think there's something about disabled people that makes it easier for them to get in. I don't know if it's due to the person's depression, perhaps, at being disabled, or there's some other thing. But they seem to be able to get into them easier too, just from what I've picked up and, watched, read, or, studied, researched, whatever you want to call it. So there's one blind guy. He came over, and it was right after we had a really weird, very intense experience. In this area we were in, they were just like sending one after another to us. And this happened, this intense period of just them coming after us. They weren't after us, though. I mean, they were after my friend for whatever reason. So there was this one blind guy, and he comes over, and he's like a white dude. I don't know why, but I got the feeling he was some kind of veteran or something. I don't know why, but so he had these dark glasses on, like these, and he had a cane, like a blind person thing. He had all the gear, right? So he was definitely a blind guy. And he came over and he's asking my friend directions on how to get somewhere close by. I forget where we wanted to go, but it was like some kind of store or something that wasn't really far away. And I picked up on almost right away that he was asking questions, right, that he couldn't have known. Like it was like a seeing person that would be asking directions, like, oh, up there, if you take a right on this, where the giant red sign is. He was doing stuff like that. Now my friend isn't picking up on what's going on. He's just like, oh yeah, you go up there, you take a left, this and that, because we just went through something, right? So he's just trying to help the guy out. The whole time the guy's he's talking to my friend who's right next to him, but he's standing here staring at me. And he's a blind man, but I know he's looking at me. And he wants me to know that he's looking at me. He's asking questions that a blind guy wouldn't know. Or I don't know exactly how it went, but he was asking, like, I guess that's the best I can describe it. He was letting us know that he could see. It was like a mockery kind of thing. And it's going over my friend's head, because like I said, we were kind of out of our sorts. And he's just staring at me, kind of smiling, like, I can see you. I know, I'm letting you know. The thing is, for the most part, aside from the Spider Woman that climbed the fucking building in Chinatown, the tattoo artist shop, they're bound. Well, no, they're bound by the body no matter what. Now, they can make it do stuff, but what they're doing is they're using all the resources of that body to do it, I'm sure. Like the old lady that spider climbed that building, I'm sure she wasn't feeling good the next day. In fact, they probably lots of pulled muscles because they don't know how the muscles feel because they're not in it, right? What they're doing, and we kind of do the same thing, they're broadcasting to it. Like they're sending a signal to that body, so they're not like in the body. And that's also what I meant when I was saying they're trying to gain control of that space. It's almost like a pirate radio station. They're trying to tune in. So it's like that. So they don't really feel the limitations of the body. They just kind of do it, you know. So I mean, the woman, I don't know whatever happened to her. She's a homeless lady. I never got a follow up on, you know, what happened, except that they, you know, they called the cops, they came down, and it was considered a B&E. I don't think they ever caught her, but whatever it was that was using her to do that, they broadcast. It's like a signal, because, I mean, everything is frequency. It's how this whole fucking thing works. So yeah, they can push the limits of the body, but I don't think it's purposefully. I think they do this inadvertently. Like when you see like those exorcisms and they're throwing people around, I don't think they want to throw them around. I think they're just trying to get away from them, you know, or at least that's what I think. Like all this stuff is just from my perspective, you know. None of it, I can't, you know, say for 100%. I don't have enough experience, although I have more than most, for sure. I don't, you know, not a demonologist. Although, you know, looking at demonologists, man, it feels like all they do is memorize names. You know, these are the kings of hell. I'm just not interested in that. I don't care. If I could probably fucking, I don't know, if I applied myself to that. But I don't know, you apply yourself to anything. I'm already doing the job, you know what I mean? I'm already doing that job. I don't have to fucking, you know, get a certificate for it. A lot of us are already doing the job, that same job. But yeah, crazy shit. Last night was like the first time, that was the closest I'd been to one. And I believe that's what was happening. Like I said, I got to go through the footage and listen to what the audio is on that and hear if I could catch anything. But I haven't been in a situation like that for a long time. At least a couple of years. I saw one over there by the donut shop. He didn't see me. I saw one at Ross like a month ago. I was doing a video what was happening, and I didn't get over there. or it had happened and then I started the video and then I went back to catch him and I couldn't catch him. But again, he didn't see me. Now, the last time one saw me was right over here, which is funny that we're here now. Serendipitously walking. He was like where I would be. Like he's crossing the street down here. You cross over into the park. And I was coming up the road. Like this way, and he was coming from the park that way, or this way here. None of that. If that's retarded, I'm sorry. I'm trying. My Garmin's failing. He was coming from the park, okay, across the street here. I was walking up right where this guy is, like coming up this way, and I didn't see him at all, but he saw me. And right at the moment before he made a face at me, my eyes went right to him. Like I caught that he was there. Right here. And he made like this scary man face at me. Like he had a sunglasses on, a backwards baseball cap. He looked like a college bro or something. And he saw me, he pulled up his sunglasses and made this like creepy face. Like you can see, the thing you can see from them, this is the only thing I know you can see from them, is their eyes. You know, their eyes can like glow, or they illuminate, or they become like a color. That's the only thing I've ever seen. Like, and usually you can't see anything because they're not on this frequency. But it probably has something to do with the light, you know, because light is how you see them anyway. So the eyes you can catch sometimes. They can make you, you can see their eyes, basically, is what I'm saying. And yeah, he pulled up his sunglasses and just the eyes flashed. And he made like this stupid, like open his mouth face, like, ah. It was wicked gay. But I didn't break on my stride. It didn't shake me at all. I think he was trying to, or he thought he would, or he thought he could. Yeah, the other flashy guy I saw by the donut shop, it was like one of the first, well, there was a couple over by that donut shop. When I first moved here, they used to have these clubs, right? And people would go drinking. Well, yeah, that's what you do at clubs, right? And there'd always be like lines to get into the clubs right by that donut place across from International Marketplace. And he was just, it was just like he was a heavy-set dude. He looked like an islander. He was dark-skinned. Might have been like Samoan or something. And he was just talking to some guy, and I could see the eyes. And he just looked over at me, and he didn't make any other, he didn't do anything weird. I just saw, he just, in conversation with this other dude, he looked over at me and I saw the eyes. The other guy at the donut shop was just like coming out of a store over there. And he was just walking by me and I saw his eyes. He didn't see me. I just, I don't know. They flashed. And I'm like, oh, fuck. He's a young kid. So to me, it's like, that one, I don't know what the fuck that was. He didn't, because usually when these guys are around, you can kind of feel it. Or at least I can. And it's like this really gross feeling. It's hard to explain. But it's one of those things that when it happens and you know it, then you get the feeling of it. And you can, hey, what's up, man? How you doing, bud? Good night. God luck. I hope he does. I know he does. Thank you. Have a good night, man. Yeah, guys, cool. He's a Christ, bro. We always exchange God pleasantries. But, yeah, that was a weird one. The younger kid. I just saw it as you walked by. He didn't look at me. I don't think he, you know. So, but those are the more recent ones I've had, which aren't even interactions. I mean, aside from the guy in the crosswalk, it was kind of an interaction. He thought he was scary. They're all edgy boys. All of them. It's like when they talk and the things they say, it's almost like they're trying to be like a character in a movie or something. Like it's the stock kind of generic evil demon talk from movies. Now, it's probably the other way around. You know, obviously the movies are being authentic to how they talk, but their ability to scare with that, you know, it's like the John Carter problem. Edgar Rice Burroughs, John Carter, you know, Gladiator World with on a desert planet. That was really cool in the, you know, early 20th century, but they never made a movie, or he never got into pop culture until much later on. So by the time you started seeing John Carter stuff, or that story, or that guy, it's like, yeah, we've seen all this shit before. We've seen the desert planet, we've seen the fucking Gladiator planet. It's like that. They have a John Carter problem. It's like, it just looks goofy. It's like they're doing a trope, you know? Because you've seen it, and it's like, it's just, I don't know. I don't sweat them at all. Because I know that there's only so much they can do. There's very little they can do. You have to do it to yourself. You have to do it to yourself. Like, a good thing would be to try to mess with you in someone's body, right? And then you attack that person because they're in it, and then they just split out of Dodge, and then you go to jail for, you know, beating up some homeless dude or something. It's like, that's That's the way. That's the way they get you to do it. And I don't know, I mean, they don't seem very smart to me. I said that from the beginning. You know, I said to my friend, you know, when we first started getting a hold of what was really happening, I'm like, I don't know. I didn't get the sense that I was talking to some kind of higher intelligence. Just a gross intelligence, you know? I don't want to have more interactions with them, but if I do, I'll try to push the button. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.